I am Corey Smith.
And I'm Judy Kurtz. Thanks so much for being with us on this very busy morning. As Corey mentioned, Kilmar Abrego Garcia was freed from immigration detention on a judge's order yesterday. It's a major win for the man who was wrongfully deported to a notorious prison in El Salvador by the Trump administration.
A U.S. district judge ordered ICE to let Abrego Garcia go immediately, saying federal authorities had detained him again after his return to the U.S. without any legal basis. This morning, we are once again joined by one of Abrego Garcia's attorneys, Alexandra Ribe. She is a senior partner at Osorio PLLC. Thanks for joining us. First, let me get your reaction to Abrego Garcia being released late last night. And if you can, I know it just sort of happened, but we've got an emergency order out this morning saying the government cannot detain him after this ICE check-in.
That's right. I mean, we're obviously ecstatic. When we heard the news yesterday, it was when you're kind of pushing back against the government, something like this, a victory like this, is just so meaningful. And then this morning, he's on his way to an ICE check-in. He's doing, again, he's always done everything he needed to do in terms of court orders while he's in the decade that he's been, more than a decade that he's been living in the United States. So he was voluntarily going to an ICE check-in, and then the same judge did order that he not be detained until further briefings. So it's obviously a sigh of relief because we were all bracing ourselves for him to get redetained. So that was extraordinarily pleasant news to hear this morning.
Obviously, huge sigh of relief for your side. Alexandra, what can you tell us about this decision for the judge ordering Kilmar Abrego Garcia's release?
Yeah, I mean, if you read the decision, I think the tone it's just clear that there's exasperation. Like, we've been exasperated for so long being his attorneys. And I think the tone of the judge echoes that exasperation, that he doesn't have to be detained in the way that he's being detained. Costa Rica has said that they'll accept him. There's been absolutely no efforts to send him to Costa Rica, the one country that will indeed accept him and will provide him with protections. And instead, they've picked a smattering of other countries, sometimes not even really working with those governments to try and get him over there. It's really just detention for detention's sake. And so I think reading that order was really just it just kind of validated our exasperation of why is this person being detained for absolutely no reason.
Can you sort of peel back the curtain? What happens at these ICE check-ins? Is he sitting before a judge? Is there some sort of hearing? What is going to take place today in Baltimore?
So there's no hearing. So an ICE check-in is something that a lot of immigrants have to attend to. So it's really just, you go into a building and it's a check-in with an ICE officer. There's no hearing, there's no judge, there's no arguments being made as to any legal theories. Really, what happens at an ICE check-in is typically the person is told, okay, you've checked in, and then they might just be told, come back on another date, because obviously if the person voluntarily came to the ICE check-in, then they're not absconding. And that's the whole purpose of ICE check-ins, to ensure that the immigrants who are living in our community and are often applying for something or have some protection from something are living by the rules of the United States. Sometimes, though, they are, and much more increasingly in this administration, every single time I have a client attend an ICE check-in, which is just supposed to be a brief conversation with the ICE officer, every single time now I am worried that the person will be detained. Sometimes they get an ankle monitor, but increasingly more and more individuals with no criminal records, with U.S. citizen children, sometimes primary caretakers, are being detained at these ICE check-ins. So it absolutely does not have to happen. There's no hearing, there's no judge there, but oftentimes it does happen, and it certainly was something that we were bracing ourselves. The Abrego Garcia family was bracing themselves for as well this morning. So as I mentioned before, the court order prohibiting them from detaining him was extraordinarily a huge relief for us.
Trump officials have ripped this decision. DHS spokeswoman Tricia McLaughlin had previously vowed that Abrego Garcia will never go free on American soil, in her words, called this judge's decision naked judicial activism by an Obama-appointed judge. What's your response to the White House's reaction?
Well, I mean, look, the White House obviously is not going to stop. There is no piece of me or anyone else on my legal team that thinks that this is over. So it's not over. I mean, in many ways, now Mr. Abrego Garcia has other opportunities. He has an opportunity to apply affirmatively for asylum. Um, they're going to continue fighting this, and we know that, and we're going to continue fighting this, and his family's going to continue fighting this. And so obviously this is not the last, unfortunately, that you'll be hearing from of this family. The family would love nothing more than to be left alone, or even, as I just mentioned, Costa Rica is willing to take him, and yet nobody's trying to send him to Costa Rica. We're just trying to detain him and trying to figure out which African country might be willing to take him, and then sometimes not even speaking to that country. So this is not over. Obviously, we know that.
Is any of this what happened today in Baltimore, what's going to happen today in Baltimore, impacts his criminal trial down in Tennessee? Alexandra, do you know?
No, I mean he's on a pretrial release, and so the Tennessee, so he can't leave the state of Maryland, and so he's going to continue to abide by those orders, and then whether he's redetained or not, again, by this administration, we will see. We will see what the judge orders, but his Tennessee hearing is not impacted in any meaningful way by this, because he absolutely has every intention of abiding by those pretrial orders under which he was released.
Alexandra Ribe, one of the attorneys representing Abrego Garcia, a senior partner at Osorio PLLC. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.